How did you start this journey? What took you here?
I think I've been trying myself to like find a moment. There are lots of individual moments that feel like pieces in a puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so perhaps the full image of the puzzle, which I imagine is still being put together, but it was always supposed to be that, like I think radical self-love was always gonna be the thing that was going to ignite my passions. I don't know if I would have used that language for it,
right?
But beauty and humans and understanding ourselves, and how do we get through thinking that somehow something's wrong with us, has always been something I found myself interested in. I think as a I grew up in the U.S. To teenage parents. There were, addiction issues in my family. And so these were questions I was always asking, like, oh, what are the decisions that, or what are the thoughts that are impacting, my parents' choices right now, these choices that aren't allowing them to show up to us the way that we would need. Right. What is that? And so there's always been that curiosity for me. And then I think my 10 million fascinatingly, seemingly divergent paths have always sort of been course correcting me back to this conversation. Right. But sort of one of the specific puzzle pieces was, I was making my living as a performance poet. And I was in a poetry slam in Tennessee with some friends, and I talk about this in the beginning of the book. And I'm having a conversation with a friend who's afraid she has an unintended pregnancy. And I'm the nosy friend. Yeah. And so I'm asking my friend about her sexual health choices. And I ask her why she wasn't using condoms with this casual partner. I knew it was a casual partner. And my friend had a disability, and she said her disability made it difficult for her to be sexual, so she didn't feel entitled to ask this person to use a condom. Right. And I'm very clear that whatever I said next was not a conscious statement, right? It was, I like to say it was through me, not of me, right? Like something was just like, hey, this is what you're supposed to say right now. And I said, your body is not an apology. It's not something you offer to someone to say, sorry for my disability. And when I said that, something got made, you know? And of course, I couldn't know at that time what it was making, but I was like, that felt real in a way, like that wasn't just for you, and it feels like it wants to be something more than just this thing I just said to you. Yeah. And so it became a poem. And then the poem sort of, I think, began directing me. The poem began saying, hey, Sonya, where are the places where you're still apologizing? Right. Where are the places where you're not in alignment with the words you're speaking on these stages? Okay. And one of them was a little selfie in my phone that I felt beautiful and saucy and delicious in, and really afraid to share, and really afraid of what I call the outside voice inside of us, the voice that is not our own, but is this voice of indoctrination. You're too much, you're too dark, you're too fat, don't share that photo. But that was bumping up against the body is not an apology. Right. The body is not an apology. And so that friction, that tension, that discomfort was sort of the opening for action. And someone had posted a plus-sized model's photo on my Facebook page, and she was really hot. And so I went to Google her, because that's what I do when I see really hot people. And she was wearing a very similar outfit in a Google picture to the one I'd been hiding in my phone. And it was the spark. That was what I needed to feel like I had permission to not listen to the outside voice, and instead to listen to the inside voice. And so I posted the photo, and I asked other people to share pictures, because I like to say I'm like a really, if it wasn't for radical self-love, I don't know, I'd be a terrible cult leader. Because I really am just like, always like, how can I convince other people to do this thing? And so I asked other people to share photos where they felt also empowered and powerful and beautiful in their bodies. 30 people tagged me in photos the next day. And I was like, oh, maybe we just need a place where we're allowed to have, this unapologetic way of being in our bodies. I'll start a little Facebook page. And I've got this poem. I'll call it "The Body's Not an Apology"
Perfect.
since I've got this poem already. And that was the inception point.